Will there be a rise in foreclosures due to the changing economy and interest rates? Look, y'all, there's a truth about foreclosures that some people forget, and that's that no matter what's happening in the economy or in the markets, somebody somewhere is not paying the bills. Foreclosures can come from a lot of different fronts. We all know the traditional one, which is you have a mortgage, didn't make the payment for some series of time, and then the bank comes and gets the house back. There's also a possibility that your municipality can take the property through foreclosure for not paying tax bills. There's actually a couple of high-profile legal cases going on right now where people are mad that they've lost their equity for not paying tax bills. And we can have that conversation about taxation being theft. However, you agreed to pay the property taxes when you bought your house. There's a third way you can lose your house to foreclosure, and this one's wildly controversial. If you have a homeowners association that includes fees and dues, and you fail to pay your homeowners association fees, they can foreclose on your house. Now, don't get mad at me. I'm a messenger, but I will say this. As a realtor, part of my job is to make sure my clients know all of this when they're buying a property. So we talk about the HOA fees. And then when you get to the closing table, in North Carolina, we still close with attorneys. There's going to be a document that's attached to all of your paperwork. And a lot of times it's called a PUD, a planned unit development. And in that PUD information, it talks about the fact that the HOA has the legal right to foreclose. Now, you don't see it regularly because I don't think most neighbors want to foreclose on a house. But if there's somebody that's not paid the bills and their house is falling into disrepair and maybe they've got some situations with occupancy, that's a route that can happen to take that house back. So all of those three things considered can happen in every kind of market condition. So are they going to happen right now? Well, you should know that our financial institutions don't really want to foreclose. So no matter what you've heard in the popular media or on Hollywood movies, banks don't like to foreclose. It's very expensive as a process. And then they have to answer to their banking regulators. And I don't think anybody wants to go in front of a regulator for any reason at all. So they will do everything they can to do a workout with that homeowner. They will offer them a different interest rate. They'll offer to move some payments to the back end. They will do all kinds of things trying to help somebody stay in their house. However, there's always a homeowner that will ignore the bank and doesn't want help or pretends they don't need help. And I can tell you that the foreclosures I've personally dealt with here in recent times, all of them have been over 400 days late on their loan. You got that math right. That's over a year they haven't made a payment, and then they hide from the bank. Well, at a certain point, the bank says, look, this asset is deteriorating because they can see that if you're not making the payment, it's highly unlikely that you're taking care of the rest of the house either. And so they've got to protect their assets because remember this, a bank is using your money to lend to somebody else. It is a giant process. And if there's a house that's not bringing in payments, they don't have a loan for you to take out on your next house. So then what happens with these foreclosures? I told you they happen in every market. No, I don't think we're going to see the great oodles and scads of them now that we saw in the big recession because that was a different time built on different flaws in the financial system. What we're seeing now are, frankly, a lot of people that got out of the habit of making their mortgage payments due to forbearance. Some people are getting it fixed up and some are not. What's changed, though, is that in the past, banks would call a real estate agent and get the house on the market, get it sold through the traditional means of multiple listing and such. What we're seeing now is that a lot of financial institutions like to sell all of their foreclosure assets at the same time in a bundle or a packet to an internal investor, whether that's an institutional investor or a hedge fund. And I don't even want to say it, but it could be somebody on their board that's got an in. And I don't know, that's just speculation. But I do know that if you live in a neighborhood where you know there's a house that got foreclosed on and you're thinking, I've never seen it hit the market. This makes no sense. It's because the bank may have sold it internally. And when they do that, frankly, one of the things we have to hope for is that it re-enters the market as a flip or an upgraded house so that an owner-occupant can buy it. But a lot of them re-enter the market as rentals, and sometimes they re-enter just in somebody else's name, and they sit there while their equity goes up. So what you can expect is that we will see foreclosures going forward. You will hear about your neighbors losing their houses because of changes in the job market. Things happen. If you want to buy one, you can look for that in your search. You can set a little hashtag for it, And if you want to sell before you get foreclosed on, you can generally find a real estate pro who knows all the conversations to have with the bank. Spoiler alert, that's not every real estate pro. So when you call somebody, you should find out if they have experience working with banks so that if you're looking to get out from under that scenario, they can help you. And if you're an investor looking to buy, I'm going to tell you another wild secret here. Sometimes the best deals aren't even foreclosures. I can generally find a better value on the market through a divorce situation, an estate sale, or just somebody who has bought their next house and is done with this one. We never know from time to time which one's going to be the best value, but I can tell you that high interest rates, low interest rates, crazy economy, great jobs, poor jobs, whatever's going on, there can be the right house out there for you at the right price, depending on where you are. So talk to your agent. And for more information about foreclosures, there is a link right over here where you can find out more about not losing your house. And in the meantime, stay tuned. And if you have a question to ask, you should totally ask me in the comments, and I'll wrap it up for you another time.